and welcome to BBTV. My name's Warren Knight, and I'm here today to talk to you about your personal brand identity. It's 1989. I can hear the waves crashing up against the shore. I'm standing in the queue. I can hear the dull bass of the music coming through the walls of the club. I can't wait to get inside, to do what I love. Now, when I was younger, I used to disappear down to London with a piece of vinyl, my big stereo, a couple of my friends, and we used to go down to Hyde Park and hip hop dance on a Sunday. And there'll be skaters down there all dressed up in bright colors, roller skaters coming up and down, different crews of individuals that were showing off how great they were at being able to break dance, body pop, do some incredible moves with their bodies. And that is what I loved to do. I was young, I loved music, and I loved being in clubs and just letting myself go. And it was in that moment in 1989 that somebody walked up to me and they invited me to come and join them on a journey that would ultimately get me paid for doing what I love. Now, as a hip hop dancer and as a young boy, a young man, that sounded absolutely incredible. You mean you were going to pay me £250 every single night to do what I love? Yeah, that's right. We're going to do that. So that was the start of my personal branding. That night, I was dressed in specific colors to achieve an outcome. So I had my red K-Swiss on, I had some black baggy trousers on, and I was wearing like this red and black top. I was in, my colors, the way that I wanted to feel the music and let other people kind of see what I can do. And because of my personal branding and because of having a passion for something that other people could see, that has always been part of my story through everything that I've done in my life. I then went on to run my own clubs in Covent Garden. I then created my very first business, getting a loan from Princess Youth Business Trust. That company was called Melodic, and we created clothing and music for shops or retailers around the UK and in Europe. I had that business for quite a few years. I then started to work out of China with a particular product, again, having a very strong identity. I then went on to working with Disney. And I think it was at that point working with Disney that I realized not only the power of brand identity, but actually the power of a personal identity. Over the next 11 years of working out of China, I managed to work in over 30 different countries, achieve $1 million of sales in a single month, and build my personal brand identity. Now, as I came out of that environment of working in the corporate world and working with corporates, some of the brands that we know, like, and trust still to this day, I decided that I wanted to make a difference. Rather than kind of working for other companies, making a difference for other people, how could I take everything that I've learned over the last 15, 20 years and actually build a business around it? Now, I decided after going through a bit of a life shift that working in the corporate world at that moment in time wasn't going to be for me. So I decided that I needed help. And I reached out to a good friend of mine and I sat down with him one day, and I remember it very, very clearly. I remember pulling out my personal diary, opening it up, grabbing my pen and sitting down and going, right, okay, let's go. And my friend just turned around and said, well, what is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you want to do? How do you want to help people? Who are you to make a difference to other people? Really got me thinking, actually, whatever I create, whether it's another business, whether it's having a partnership, everything starts and stops with me as a person. So I spent a good couple of hours with my friend, and I've still got that book to this day, and I reference back to it. It's like, you need to position yourself as a thought leader in your industry. What knowledge do you have? What have you got to give people that they can take away and take action on that's going to make a difference? And that really got me thinking. So then at that point, I went and created 3 books focused on the 3 areas where I felt I had experience. And I started to master a new craft, a new art. And that was all around at that time, online marketing. How can we take ourselves and other businesses and put them online? Now that's nearly 15 years ago now. And over the years, after creating my own personal brand and becoming a speaker, trainer, author, coach, thought leader in regards to what I'm doing, over the last 15 years, that's evolved. But I've always stayed really, really focused on my own personal brand identity. I built a couple of tech companies. One company got to £1 million in valuation by getting investment into that business. I had offices down in Shoreditch, staff, all of those wonderful things. But then one day I lost it all. Couldn't get my 7-figure investment into my technology company, and I lost it all. Round about the same time, I also split up with the partner that I was with, and I felt like I had to start all over again. But I didn't, because throughout everything that I've done, I've always built my personal brand identity. And so I was able to very quickly take a couple of steps back, realign in regards to what then my core values were, how I'd grown, and looked at opportunities in the market and repositioned myself. So what I'm going to do now is, we've only got a very, very short time together. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you very quickly through the concept of building your personal brand identity. Now, to do this, I'm a very, very visual person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you. So here we go. You should be able to see now that what I'm going to do is take you on a bit of a journey of creating your personal brand identity. Now, something that I brought up right at the very beginning when I was talking was all about the concept of knowing you or not knowing you. Now, back in 1985, Joseph Luft and Harrington Ingham created the Johari Window. Now, they created it from a heuristic exercise perspective for corporate companies so that the individuals inside of those organizations could truly understand what they knew and what they didn't know. So what I'm about to share with you now is a bit of a methodology. Now, if this is of importance to you, I would highly recommend that you go and spend some quality time looking into this, because it's basically broken down into 4 quadrants. If we look at the top left in regards to your open area, this is what you know, but also what you let other people know. Then you've got your hidden area. So this is what you know about you, but not what you want to show other people. And that's okay. Then at the top right, you've got what is your blind area. Now, your blind area is, you might not know it about you, but others know it about you. And then you've got your unknown area, where it's not known to you, but it's also not known to others. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever sat in the audience and listened to a speaker and go, wow, that was great. He was entertaining. He was educational. You know, he made me laugh. But there's just something that's stopping me from wanting to work with that individual. I don't know what it is. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something that's stopping me from wanting to go and talk to that person. Now, if we understand this concept around how we can be more open or protect ourselves and protect other people from the things that we've gone through in the past. The Johari window allows us to understand that a little bit more. And to do that, what we ultimately need to do is expand these areas. So I'm going to give you 4 ways that you can do this very quickly, and something that I highly recommend you go and do to truly understand your personal brand identity, the starting point of that. Step number 1, have a good chat with yourself. Write down all the things that you know about yourself. Reach out to people. Ask people to come back with 3 words that define who you are. Go back to past clients. Ask them to write the good, the bad, and the ugly about you. Go on a journey of a bit of shared discovery. So sit down with a very close friend or somebody that can highlight some things to you that you didn't even realize around what's going on. And then what you find. So 4 things that I'd like to go and do around the Johari window. Now, I decided that after going through the process of reinventing myself over the last few years, that there was a methodology, a process, and understanding that would enable me to do that very quickly and very easily. And I happened to meet up with another Warren, actually, another guy called Warren Cass, which some of you might know already. And whilst we'd known each other for over 10 years, and when we both shared the stage at different events and our paths had crossed, and we said, "Hey, Warren," we go, "Hi, Warren," we never actually really sat down and got to know each other. Well, that opportunity came. And from that opportunity, we created the Thought Leaders Blueprint. And the starting point of every single thing that you need to do as an individual to build a thought leader's business is to understand your identity. So what I'm going to do over the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm just going to break this down for you in a little bit more detail. Your identity. It might not be 10, 15 minutes, might be a little bit shorter than that. Looking at your identity, we need to focus on who you are. So yourself, personally yourself, what we know professionally, and then looking at the market side of things. So let's get started with that. Looking at self. Has anybody here heard of Ikigai? If you have, just put it in the chat box. Give me a yes, no. If you've got any questions that you want to ask me, remember, we're going to do a Q&A session at the very end. Just put it in the chat box. Now, Ikigai is the reason for being. It's said that the people from Okinawa live the longest because they live and breathe this ethos. Now, in the Western world, we've bastardized this a little bit. We've commercialized it. And what I want you to do now is think about what it is that you love. What is it that you love? Where does that passion come from? Then have a good think about, what does the world need? Is there something that you can connect to that can create your mission? What can you get paid for? If you want to build this thought leadership business, if you want to drive your business forward, think about what you can get paid for. Now comes the hard part. Ask yourself, what are you good at? How can you connect what you love and what you're good at and come at it from a place of passion? Now, to help you with that a little bit, I'm going to talk to you about core values. What are your core values? And they shift over time. As I mentioned before, when Warren and I sat down, we very quickly realized that we've got a set of core values that match and connect with who we are. So what I'm going to do for you now is very quickly put some words on a screen. I want you to look at these words very quickly, pull out one of these words and put it into the chat box. Do that right now. Which word jumps out at you right now as far as one of your core values? Because what you're looking at on the screen here are 5 of the core values that Warren and I connected to when we know ourselves, so the Johari window, and we know what we want to achieve in regards to what is our mission. And as you can see here, we're very purpose driven. We come from a place of tough love. We're authentic in regards to what we do and what we say. We love nurturing people. So we don't just tell them what they want to hear. We actually hold their hand to show them how to do it. And we're action orientated. So for your core values, give them a sentence, but focused on what's important for other people. Because ultimately, if you're going to create your core values and build your personal brand, we have to take that idea and turn that idea into action for it to have real value. Now, something that I want to give away to everybody today is our 500 core values. This is a book that we put together with over 500 different values that you can take away. Now, when it's a nice sunny day, sit outside with a glass of wine, grab a cup of coffee, whatever's important to you, and just take these values and start ringing some and categorize them in regards to what's important to help you understand your core values. And what we'll do is we'll give this away to you at the very end. I shared with you my origin story, where I started my very first time that I became a professional and got paid to do what I love. What's your origin story? How are you a superhero? What's your superhero story? Because this is very much about creating your personal brand. We need to go back to our heritage, create a timeline of everything that you've achieved to help you understand, where did you start? What was your origin story? The next phase that we want to go into is objectives. Now, creating those objectives is sometimes not easy. So what I'm going to do for you here is just put a couple of objectives on the screen for you, and I want you to be thinking about them. Some of them might resonate with you, and you might have some others. What difference are you currently making? Where is your profile? Are you visible for people to be able to find your personal brand? What do you deliver? What is your proposition? Who's in your team? I had a team in an office. Now I've got a team of VAs. What are you selling? What is it that you're actually creating that people can buy into? Who are they? Who are these people? Where are they? Now, over the last 3 years, I've been working over in the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. That's been my core area of where I've been focusing. What hours do you want to work? What is your social following? How many people follow you? Why do they follow you? Who admires you? Who looks up to you? What are your objectives? How much do you want to earn? And the last question here is, what do you want to be known for? So these are some questions that I want you to think about and take away in regards to creating your own personal brand. Now, on the professional side, there are 3 core areas that I want you to be thinking about. I've got a couple of minutes left to share this with you. The first one being your expertise. Now, going through this process of thought leadership and creating a personal brand, we actually created a bit of a target, an onion, if you like, to help you truly understand where you're sitting at the moment. And from a professional perspective, where are you sharing your expertise? Where are you sharing your experience? How are people giving you that testimonial? How are you creating your reputation? Because it starts building your competitive advantage. Now, I've got a couple of actions for you to help you understand and create your expertise. 4 things I want you to do. Write down what makes you an expert. 1, 2, 3, 4. You might want to spend some time doing this. And then think about what can you do to improve your expertise. Now, I created a technology business back in 2010, and the methodology that we used in building the platform was around agile. There's various different approaches that you can take in building tech, and our approach was to be agile. Now, we had daily scrums in regards to what we were doing, but moving into a new space around digital leadership, for me, it was about going back and learning more about agile leadership. So I upgraded my knowledge and my expertise. What can you do around that? Now, as we move into thinking more about your reputation, where can you be found online at the moment? The best place to do that is by far LinkedIn. When was the last time you looked at your LinkedIn profile around what's going on? Think of all the different steps that people go through to get connected to who you are. What are people saying about you? Where is it? Is it in LinkedIn? Is it on Twitter, Facebook? Is it on your website? These are all part of you building your own personal brand. The last part is all about your market. Creating that IP around who you are, your brand, your assets. So something that I decided to do when I built my personal brand was to go back to a bit of heritage around what I was going on. So what you're looking at on the screen right now is my brand style guide. And if you take a look at my WK logo and think about what I spoke about right at the very beginning, that logo actually came from Run DMC. So the logo that they had for Run DMC, and I used to be into hip hop dancing, being a hip hop dancer, I thought I'm going to go back to my history and create something new. So I changed the font, changed the colors, put it into my own initials, and now I've created my own personal brand. And in doing that, when I wrote my book called Think Digital First, I then took that and created that same brand style guide. But then understanding my audience, I was able to then niche it down into those individual focus audiences. So what you're looking at here, I rewrote my book in 7 different industries, rewriting the content inside and the look and the feel of the book, making sure that the book for that particular person was specifically talking to them. If we're going to go to market, we need to know some questions. One of those questions to finish up today is, why do people buy you? What is it about you that people buy into that enables you to reinforce who you are and what you do? So I've got some areas that I want you to be thinking about. How do you create what it is that you do? How do you leave a message around who you are? How do you wave that magic wand and help that person achieve their outcome in regards to what they're doing? So this is a very quick snapshot of creating your own personal brand. My name's Warren Knight. I've given you a bit of an understanding to go through our identity methodology in regards to who you are. What is it that you've created professionally, and how can you go out and create your brand identity? So thank you very much for being with me today. And please feel free to jump in and ask any questions that you have at the end.